I just recently drove a 2021 Jaguar F-Pace, a base model, a 250 with the 4-cylinder engine, and I thoroughly enjoyed the vehicle. In fact, I don't think I've ever met an F-Pace that I didn't like since I drove it for the first time for the 2017 model year. What I do enjoy the most about the F-Pace is the fact that, well, simply put, it's not a BMW, it's not an Audi, it's not a Mercedes-Benz, it's a Jaguar. And there's only one other brand that really speaks to me because it's different and more unique, and that's Alfa Romeo. Which is why I essentially concluded in that review that it's between the Stelvio and the F-Pace as far as I'm concerned. But there's one thing now that really pops up in my mind, and it really follows along the same idea with this week's tester. This is a 2021 Jaguar F-Pace SVR. And what I most appreciate about the SVR is JLR's approach, where unlike BMW and Mercedes-Benz, they haven't diluted their high-performance versions. You don't get, well, a toned-down M, or you don't get a light AMG. An SVR is an SVR. So you'll always have that exclusivity that comes with an SVR product from the JLR family. And there's another thing too, and I'm about to talk about that a little bit more, is that when you look at it, you know it's special, but it doesn't necessarily scream at you that it's special. Well, that is, unless the active sport exhaust is on and you're nailing it. Anyhow, suffice it to say that I absolutely love this SUV. And as much as I love the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, which would be, the competitor or direct competitor to this, I'll tell you right now, I think I prefer this a little bit more, if only because it's a little more subtle. This is the older me speaking, not the 19-year-old fighting to come back to life. Anyhow, enough of that. We're going to do the walk around and then we're going to drive it. And I'll tell you more about what I feel, or how I feel, about the F-Pace SVR. Now, of the many things I love about the F-Pace, styling. I love the swept back windscreen, the short overhangs, the tall belt line. It just really, really looks good. And what I do love about the SVR is that if you're looking at it from this side, okay, the 22-inch wheels kind of give it away, but you wouldn't know that it's an SVR until you really get around the front or the back. I mean, both the bumpers are redesigned and a little bit more aggressive. And definitely when you get up here, you can see that the air intakes are huge, and you can see the intercoolers, and the SVR badge is obviously dead giveaway. And the color, Sanguinello orange, it's just exceptionally fantastic. In contrasting with like the matte gray trim around the wheels at the bottom of the doors and around the intakes, as we complete the lap right around here. I mean, the quad tail pipes, as I noted, dead giveaway, and the badge. But say, unlike an X5M or any other massively powerful SUV, it's very subtle. The flares are not boxed out. The fenders are flat-ish. I don't know. It's an aggressive monster in a gentleman's outfit. I love that. I really, really love that. Pricing for the SVR in the US is $86,600. In Canada, $98,400. As I said, this is a full-fat SVR. So you have the full SV exterior pack, which we kind of went over, which includes the bumpers, the 21-inch wheels. These are optional 22s. I think I mentioned that already. Active sport exhaust, active rear differential, torque vectoring with the brakes, configurable dynamics. I'll show that to you in a few moments. Supercharged V8. I mean, it's all there. Now, this vehicle with the tester has a few options. I mentioned the 22-inch wheels and the paint color. It's got a heads-up display and a bunch of other things for a grand total of $110,000. But you know what? It's not that crazy when you compare the RSQ8 or the X5M or X6M or the GLE. Well, right now only the 53, but the previous GLE 63. I won't say it's a bargain, but it's really, really nice. Now, I won't do the usual interior tour. I mean, the kids are enjoying the ride. There you go. These are the two things that really differentiate it from the regular F-Pace. These seats. Look at these seats. I'm going to go around the door. Look at that. I mean, these are racing bucket seats. They're extremely firm, but unbelievably supportive. Power operated, power lumbar support as well. The fit finish, just typical good stuff from Jag. Alcantara on the doors. Love the Alcantara up here on the pod. I'm going to start it up. And here's your SVR badge on the steering wheel. It's a little bit different than a standard one, but the pods on each side, or on the spokes I should say, are similar to the regular F-Pace. You can see the heads-up display right there. There's your 11.4 inch touchscreen display. Now what I mentioned about the dynamics. Okay, so here's your drive mode wheel. That's right, the performance exhaust, which should always be on. I mentioned this in the F-Pace, the base model that I drove recently. There's another SVR badge. I forgot about that one. As it pops up, and then you can switch and toggle through your dynamic eco, and should you ever decide to go off-roading, for example, I don't know why you would, but the thing with the dynamic mode is that it can actually be switched via this function, and this is different for the SVR. So everything obviously is in dynamic except for the dampers, which are adjustable, adaptive, so they're set in comfort, and this is the ideal drive mode to have a ton of fun in. There isn't much else to say in here really. This is still, I don't know, maybe if JLR engineered or programmed a little bit more resistance in the electronic shifter, it would be a little bit, I don't know, less flimsy when you accidentally push it. But again, that's a silly detail. Alcantara, yes. Oh, it's so beautiful. Anyhow, I think it's time to go for a drive right now. Well, there's a perfect thing. Auto start stop. Unfortunately, you have to turn it on and off all the time. It's quick to access with the screen, but it's annoying. And that pretty much sums up what's annoying with this car SUV. Because yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. Probably can. The sound that this supercharged 5-liter V8 makes is sublime. 550 horsepower from 6250 to 6500 RPM, 516 pound-feet of torque from 3000 to 5000 RPM. I mean, this is an achingly quick, high-powered brute of an SUV. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4 seconds, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 3.8. But, I mean, yes, you feel the power, you hear the exhaust, but this engine is supercharged. And even at 3,500 RPM, you can't hear the whine, which kind of takes away from it if you're expecting something. But if you're in the mindset of a Jaguar F-Pace SVR, the premium top-line SUV from Jag, it's actually, it kind of transforms it into a more refined vehicle. I mean, there is an underlying kind of whistle, but you have to listen for it to hear it. The Active Sport exhaust, well, it's just always on because it has to be. Now, it's fast, and I showed you the drive modes, right? So with the dampers in the more comfortable settings, the ride quality, and this despite the 22-inch wheels, is really, really good. Now, as I say that, obviously, the road here is just absolutely horrible. But the ride quality, I mean, it might be a little bit better with the standard 21s, but I have nothing negative to say about what's going on board. I mean, this is, oh my jeez, that's horrible. But still, I'm very comfortable on board. That's a great way to demonstrate how, again, it's a brute, but it's like, it's very well dressed to the nines, as they say. Now, for the most part, I've left the drive mode in just the typical comfort setting. I haven't really gone into the dynamic very often, but I am now. But mind you, the dampers are still in comfort because you can set it that way. And, well, the 8-speed automatic transmission in this thing is just, it's brilliant. Like most 8-speed transmissions, they have this ability to be extra smooth and extra violent depending on how much throttle you give it. I mean, I just mentioned that the dampers are so comfortable and nice when they're in comfort, but just the overall driving experience is so good. It doesn't feel like a big SUV, but it behaves as though it was a big, plush, premium SUV. But when you look out the window, everything is very with you. Not that it's compact or small, but it's not intimidating. I absolutely love this SUV. It's fantastic. And the opposite but same to this is that Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, which is just a brute on top of being a brute. So you have that same base. It's just that the Jag, again, the tight, the nice tailored suit, whereas the Alfa Romeo has, I don't know, whatever grungy outfit, depending on how old you are, you might have hiding somewhere in the back of your closet that you don't take out, but you're very nostalgic about because it made you feel a certain way. I don't know what I'm saying. Bear with me. If I had to pick between the two, for a short-term relationship, 3 to 4 years at the most, I don't know. It would depend on how I feel that day. But despite that, and despite everything else I just said, and I hate to say it, really, the BMW X5M is still, it's that perfect middle ground of comfort, of presence, of performance, of brand recognition. It just really encompasses absolutely everything. But I don't know. I don't want to be like everyone else. I kind of said that exact thing in my F-Pace 250 review. I'm sorry, dead air. If for the choices of colors that you don't feel bad about selecting on the F-Pace SVR, I get an F-Pace because the Stelvio would have to be red. That's it. This thing is just spectacular. I love everything about it. Really do.